Hi all, I know it's been a while since you've heard from me. I figured since I am now not watching the children that I would give you guys an update. Um, I had to watch my stepsons because they come for the summer every summer and it was our turn, so I watched them. Um, they're great kids, but I do not record when they're around. I will not, because they're not biologically my children, so it is not my right to put them on here, and since their father doesn't want to ever be on here, I will not put the boys on here at all either. Anyway, I figured it might be time to give you guys a little bit of insight on why I ended up at 340 pounds. It started when I was 5 years old. My mother married this man named George. I'm not going to give last names because it's not my right to give anybody's last names out. But George, he had been hit with Agent Orange. He was a Vietnam vet. And he was going crazy, but we didn't know it at the time. And one of his ways of punishing us was to use waterboarding. For those of you who don't know about it, they will literally hold you down and pour water on your face till you can't breathe. Another one of his methods of abuse was we had in my childhood home a metal hearth, and that concrete. I don't know why I said metal. It's a concrete hearth to the fireplace, and they would make us sit. Yes, my mother helped too. They would make us sit on that concrete hearth for hours upon hours, holding the heaviest books you could imagine. And if we dropped our books, it would start all over again. That caused a lot of damage to my knees, which prevented me from doing physical education in high school because I was officially in braces on both legs and were having to use the elevator to go up the stairs and down the stairs because I couldn't go physically upstairs because of the fact that my knees were so damaged. They haven't had a replacement yet, but they are severely arthritis. Then when I was 8 years old, my elder brother, I will not name him, but he sexually molested me. It was only one time, but that really affected me when I got older. I didn't realize at 8 years old the repercussions of what happened. I also didn't tell anyone because my mother never believed anything we said, so what was the use of telling her? And so I didn't. Not until I was an adult. But I would have taken the secret to my grave, except I wrote a post for my bariatric group to tell them what happened to me, to why I ended up as big as I did before I started losing weight. And it got out, and my nephew found it, and it was his father who did it before he was born, of course. And so he now hates me, which, people can't sometimes understand the truth, and I understand that. I still love him, and if he ever sees this, Andy, I'm sorry. I really am. Anyway, moving on. When I was 8, I was also what you would call a child model. I was skinny as a rail because My mother knew my stepfather. My mother knew my father. Sorry, my father side of the family were large, and so she didn't want me to reach that weight, and would keep me from being able to eat stuff. So that way she prevented me from basically eating a lot of stuff. I never had candy until I was 10. I'll get into that story in a moment. I never had anything like terrible, but I never had any good food either. Her food consisted of easy meals like ramen noodles or chili. Sometimes she made fresh chili, which was good. I'll give her that. I wish she'd made it less liquidy, but, it was good. You ate it with crackers and it was great. And so, back to that part. She would starve me, basically. My siblings would be allowed seconds. Sorry, my cat's being up. But, Wheatley, stop. And, anyway, if I could cut stuff out, believe me, I would. I haven't figured that out yet. I'll work on it. But anyway, lost my train of thought. Let's see. I know I was talking about the food thing. I hate my medicine. It really messes with my mind. Anyway, yeah. I wasn't the only one to remember this. My ex-boyfriend, who was my neighbor, at the time he was my neighbor's grandson, who was a very good friend of my family's. He remembered it. My adopted brother remembered it, so I'm not the only one who remembered that. And I didn't start gaining weight until I was 10 years old. And that was when I had met my friend Vanessa and her sister Steph. And I would go to their house all the time, and they would give me fattening foods and candy. And then I just started barreling from there. Then I started comfort eating because of all the abuse and the mental, the sexual, all of it. I honestly hadn't realized what I was doing at all. I just kept gaining and gaining and gaining. In 6th grade, I had no friends at school, none. But I remember my teacher, Mr. Garcia, he and the lunch ladies got together, and they became my secret friends. And I really believe it was them that saved me, because around that time I was starting to get depressed. By the time my brother committed suicide when I was 14, I was suicidal myself. If not for thinking of my nephew and the people that loved me, I probably would have killed myself at that age. But I didn't. And I'm here now. And I'm finally at a place where I'm content and happy. I got an amazing boyfriend, but I'll get into that later. Still, when I was 12, a lot of stuff also happened. I remember walking home from school. I believe it was leading to the summer. And, sorry, I gotta readjust. This man came out of the, mafia house. It was on 9th East, which I had to go by to get home, because I lived on 7th East and 10th South, and this was 9th East and about 1250 South, roughly. And I was trying to get home, and he comes out and starts saying, "Hey, kid, come here." Well, I wasn't going near him. So I turned and walked down the church driveway that was there to get to the alley, which I always did anyway, because I was heading for that anyway. And as soon as I turned into the alleyway, I immediately went into the bathroom door of the church. And I waited there in the bathroom for about 15-20 minutes, I'd say. And I came out and found that he was at the end of the alleyway that I had to go to. And he turns around and says, "Hey, kid, come here." And so I turned around and beat it back toward 1300 South, which I wasn't that far from. As I said, I was about 1250 to 1200 South, somewhere in there. And I got to 1300 South, turned, and saw a bunch of guys, big burly guys, with a bunch of little kids playing around. And I ran up to them and said, "Hey, this guy's trying to kidnap me." I didn't know it at the time, but this was the Hells Angels house. Yeah, we had a Hells Angels house. And they, as soon as the guy turned the corner, stepped right in front of me, said, "You see this kid? She's under our protection. You're not to touch her." Well, he turned around and left. Thank God. And I never went that way again, but I would go the way with the Hells Angels, and I would play with their kids from time to time. It was an okay time. I mean, you're trying to say thank you in your own way because you're a kid and you don't know how to say it. But they were good people. I mean, a lot of people claim that Hells Angels are terrible people because they're a biker gang. They saved my life. I can guarantee they saved my life. Because if he had caught me, I don't think I'd be alive today. So that's my almost kidnapping story. And then a guy who was like my grandpa, because I didn't have a grandpa. He basically played like a grandpa to me. His name was Don. I might have shared this in another video, but Don asked my mother to actually take me on a camping trip for the night. And she agreed because, we knew the guy. We were comfortable with him. And I remember waking up with his member in my shorts, but he hadn't raped me. And he, when we woke up, drove me out of Utah. And because Utah was where I grew up, Utah was where my mom and everybody was. And we ended up in Wyoming, but I didn't know because I've never seen Wyoming up until then. And I thought we were still in Utah. And he stopped for breakfast, so we ate breakfast. And there were these 3 cops sitting at a booth noticing an old man with a little girl. And they thought that odd. So when we left, they followed us. And they pulled us over. Separated us and asked me, one of them asked me, does your mommy know you're does your mommy know you're in Wyoming? And I said, Wyoming? No. We're supposed to be in Utah. We weren't supposed to leave Utah at all. And so I remember they wouldn't let me get my Cabbage Patch doll out of the back of the truck. They arrested him because I remember seeing him go away in cuffs. And one driver put me into the back of his vehicle, and they took me to the police station where they had me give them my mommy's number, and the officer called my mom, and of course the next thing I remember is my family coming running across the parking lot of the police station to where I was sitting, and I just remember them embracing me and like my mom crying, and everybody was so relieved, and I didn't realize what was going on until I was older and realized he had kidnapped me. So I survived that. Not without some mental anguish, though. Because, I trusted him, and my family trusted him, and he probably would have done some really bad stuff to me before killing me. Because let's face it, pedophiles do that stuff. And I'm pretty sure he was a pedophile at this point. Anyway, so that, along with mental abuse from other kids, I just kept eating and eating and eating and eating. I didn't stop. And I gained, and I think in high school I was 250, which is close to what I am right now. I'm 252. Yeah, I haven't lost weight. I'm still going to go to the therapist as soon as I see my regular doctor, which is in this month, end of this month, I think. Anyway, and even after high school, I still kept ballooning. Things got better in high school, though. I did have more friends, and I wasn't too afraid of things. But honestly, I can say that everything that happened to me in my childhood caused me to just comfort eat. And when I figured it out, which was by watching 600 Pound Life, I didn't think I any longer comfort ate. I only ate because I just didn't care. And then all the damage that I was doing in my body came full force at 38. So, yeah. That's pretty much why I ended up the way I did. And now I can barely move, and I have a pain condition that will never go away. That makes it hard for me in the winter. If you've been watching any of my videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's my story. I really honestly know that once I get this comforting out of under wraps and find better ways to manage it, I will lose more weight, and that's my intention. I am trying to lose enough weight to reverse the precancer in my uterus because I can't be on the suppression meds forever. And I personally do not want to lose my uterus until I'm older because I don't want to go through early menopause. But if that happens, I really can't do anything about it. But yeah, I thought I'd share my story with you guys. I do want you to know that I appreciate you guys being here and listening to me. If I can help anyone at all, I intend to do that. I'm trying to be as motivational as I can for myself and for others, because honestly, we need it. I need it too, as much as everyone else. So, yeah, I am gonna let you guys go now. I just wanted to let you know my side of what happened to me. Alright? Bye.